Hi, my name is Kai. Chris has asked me to introduce a new video to you called Orchestrating Uncertainty. Rest assured that Chris created this video, and I'm just tasked with introducing it to you. This allows Chris to focus on his many AI-related projects, and yet at the same time, get his thoughts out to you. There's a major shift going on today, driven by AI, which is forcing us all to reevaluate how we work. Instead of relying on manual authorship and direct control, value is increasingly coming from orchestrating probabilistic systems like large language models. As AI reshapes the workplace, the line between technical and non-technical roles is fading. Success now depends on learning how to steer and delegate to AI systems while keeping humans responsible for final decisions. This new skill set includes clearly defining intent, building ways to verify results, and designing workflows that produce reliable outcomes. The message ultimately urges leaders to move past rigid, deterministic thinking and adopt a systems-level approach to working with uncertainty in the age of AI. Without further ado, let's get to the video.
You know, there's this feeling that's spreading through the professional world right now. It doesn't matter if you're a top engineer or a project manager. It's this sense that the ground is literally shifting under our feet, that the rules of our own jobs are being rewritten while we're still trying to do them. Well, today, we're going to give that feeling a name and, more importantly, a map to navigate it.
Just listen to this quote. This is from Andrej Karpathy. One of the most respected minds in AI. And when he says he feels behind, that's a huge signal for the rest of us that something fundamental has really changed. He calls it a magnitude 9 earthquake. And you know what? He's not wrong. So here's the absolute heart of the issue. Our jobs are being refactored, just like a piece of code, while we are still in the middle of doing them. And look, this isn't just about learning a new tool or dealing with a software update. The very mental models we've built our entire careers on, the way we measure our own competence, they're becoming obsolete. We're calling this whole upheaval the Great Refactoring, because what's really changed is the very definition of what it means to be technical. There's a whole new skill tree emerging, and it's not just for programmers anymore. Not at all. It's for anyone who needs to tell these incredibly powerful new machines how to do useful work. But before we can start climbing that new tree, we have to understand what exactly broke in the old world. Why do our old instincts and our hard-won skills suddenly feel, well, kind of wrong? Let's dig into the core assumptions that just aren't holding up anymore. And this slide, wow, it just lays it all out, doesn't it? We're moving from a world of deterministic systems, where 2 + 2 always equals 4, to probabilistic ones, where the answer is, well, it's probably 4, but you better check. Authority doesn't just come from writing the code anymore. It has to be earned through constant verification. And we've gone from having direct, granular control to just steering, from writing exact instructions to conditioning a desired behavior. So, first, let's talk about control. In the old world, you authored a program's behavior line by line. Now, you condition it. You're shaping outcomes with prompts, with context, but the model's response is always going to be a little unpredictable. The best way to think about it, you're no longer a micromanager writing every single line of code. You're a manager, steering a really talented but kind of unpredictable employee toward a reliable outcome. Second, and this one's a big one, the direct link between effort and output is completely broken. It used to be simple. More effort meant more output. Now the bottleneck is moved. Someone who masters delegating to an AI can get a 10x jump in productivity, while a brilliant person just grinding away manually gets left in the dust. The most critical skill is no longer just execution, it's effective delegation. The third break is honestly fascinating. The way we think about work has completely flipped on its head. We used to start with a big, high-level idea and painstakingly collapse it down into low-level code. Now, we just state our intent, and the system expands that upward into generated code, documents, and plans. Your job isn't to lay every brick anymore. No, you're the foreman for a construction crew, defining the goal and making sure the final structure is sound.
And finally, the old walls between different jobs are just crumbling. The most important divide is no longer engineer versus non-engineer. It's between people who can effectively delegate generation to a machine while keeping their authority over the final outcome, and those who can't. And this applies to a lawyer reviewing contracts just as much as it does to a developer writing code. Okay, so the old world is broken. What do we do now? Well, we need a new map. So let's dive into the new skill tree and see how we can build a structured path to mastery. This is a framework for how pretty much all knowledge workers can start to level up.
Okay, this is the root of everything. If you don't get this one foundational idea, nothing else is going to work. You must separate the act of generation from the act of decision-making. The AI is fantastic at generating drafts, ideas, and options.
but it can't be the final judge of what's true or safe or correct. That responsibility has to belong to the workflow, the system, or the human.
With that foundation in place, the skill tree grows through 4 distinct levels of mastery. We start by learning to steer the machine with conditioning. Then we learn to actually trust its output by establishing authority. Next, we scale up our efforts by building workflows. And finally, we make our advantage durable through compounding. Think of this as your new professional curriculum.
Level 1 is all about steering. First up, intent specification. Ambiguity is like gasoline on a fire for these models, so you have to define the problem with extreme clarity. Second is context engineering. Most AI failures are really context failures. Knowing what to include, what to leave out, and how to structure it is a core skill. And finally, constraint design. This is how you turn a slot machine into a reliable factory, by using things like JSON schemas or structured formats to force the model to give you exactly what you need, every single time.
So once you can steer the model, you've got to maintain authority. How do you know the output is even correct? Through verification design. And this isn't some abstract idea, it means building an automated check or a human-in-the-loop workflow. Next, how do you trust its claims? Through provenance, creating systems that actually cite their sources and show their work, kind of like a research assistant handing you their bibliography. And how do you keep it safe? Through permissions, making sure the AI can't act without explicit approval.
All right, now we scale. Level 3 is all about building workflows. You'll learn to break down huge tasks into smaller, manageable pipelines. Instead of one giant prompt to write a report, you create a pipeline. Step 1, generate an outline. Step 2, draft each section. Step 3, summarize the findings. Each step is a checkpoint. You also get really good at spotting failure modes, so instead of just fiddling with the prompt, you can diagnose and fix the real problem. And you build in observability, making the whole process transparent with logs and traces so you can actually understand what's happening under the hood.
The final level is all about making your advantage last. You build evaluation harnesses. Think of this like a test track for your AI. Before you swap out the engine, the model, you run it through dozens of scenarios to make sure it performs better, not worse. You design feedback loops, creating systems that can actually critique and improve their own work. And finally, you master governance, managing how your systems evolve over time. This is the ultimate goal, operating under continuous change without ever losing control.
I know this whole skill tree thing can feel a little abstract, so let's make it way more tangible with a perfect analogy from the world of video games. In Factorio, you crash land on an alien planet and you have to build this sophisticated, automated factory completely from scratch. You start out doing everything by hand, but the game very quickly pushes you to think differently.
This journey just brilliantly illustrates what we're all going through. You start with manual authorship. That's like crafting items by hand in the game. Then you learn to build conveyor belts, which is basically level 1 conditioning, steering inputs and outputs. And pretty soon, you're designing entire automated factories, which are your level 3 workflows. The game teaches you the most crucial lesson. Nobody cares if you personally crafted the most perfect gear. What matters is that the system produces gears at scale.
So, what's the ultimate takeaway from all of this? It's that the core competence of a modern knowledge worker is shifting from authorship and direct control to a new, and honestly, a more difficult skill.
This right here is the new definition of technical. It's not less skilled, it's a completely different kind of skill. The world is no longer just going to reward the fastest coder or the most prolific writer. It will reward the person, the engineer, the lawyer, the marketer, the analyst, who can design a system that produces reliable, valuable outcomes from these powerful but inherently unreliable components.
Look, feeling behind right now doesn't mean you're failing. It just means you're paying attention. The game has changed. The path forward isn't about chasing the next shiny tool. It's about deliberately climbing this new skill tree. So the real question is, are you ready to stop being just an author and start becoming an orchestrator?
Hi, I'm Kai, your media curator inside Mediafluencer. Every day, we're surrounded by endless thumbnails, algorithms chasing clicks, and feeds designed to keep us scrolling, not satisfied. Mediafluencer exists to change that, to help you cut through the noise and surface the best content for you, based on your interests, mood, and time. Not whatever happens to shout the loudest. Instead of randomly choosing what to watch, read, or listen to, I help you discover thoughtful, high-quality media that's actually worth your attention. Less scrolling, fewer regrets. More moments where you think, I'm glad I found this. Your time matters. Your attention matters more. Let's curate it wisely.